Part 10. Morning came. When Eimund raised the ring of keys, taken from the Great Bear, the gates of the Castle of Dreams vanished. Even the sword that had barred the entrance disappeared with them. It seemed the trial had come to an end. The Castle of Dreams, a fortress that had appeared to rise 20 stories into the sky. Yet it had only been a remnant of the past, an illusion lingering between worlds. That was why, even after falling from the highest tower, Eimund had survived. The 400 prisoners who were freed were small of stature, yet astonishingly strong. Under Eimund's guidance, they immediately set to work. As he walked among the ruins, half buried beneath stone and splintered timber, he heard the familiar sound of bells. It was the merchant. Once again, riding through the wreckage, he laughed. Well now. How splendid. At last the castle has cast aside its veil. His horses wore heavy velvet trappings, trimmed with fur. Hundreds of silver coins had been sewn into the cloth. They chimed softly with every step. No noble lord could have appeared more magnificent. Eimund presented the scales. Merchant, are these what you sought? The merchant's eyes widened. Ah. Indeed they are. Perfect. Now my own journey is complete. I shall return to my wife and my children. My daughter will inherit my trade. And now, Dag is truly yours once more. Take this as well. He handed Eimund a set of horseshoes, for jewels were set into each one. 16 gemstones in all. Then Eimund exchanged part of the castle's treasure for 4 great barrels of wine. Satisfied, the merchant departed. At that moment, the little folk came running. It is finished. Everything is ready. Before Eimund stood a great hall of stone. He laid down dry shavings, stacked the firewood, then struck flint against steel. A spark leapt forth. Soon, the first fire was born within the great central hearth. From there, its warmth spread throughout the hall. One fireplace after another came to life. Heated water flowed through pipes, warming washrooms and floors alike. Windows had been built to welcome both light and air. Even in the heart of winter, the place remained bright and warm. Roads were repaired. Livestock were gathered into shelter. And thus, the people of the surrounding lands passed the winter upon the grounds of the former Castle of Dreams. Eimund assigned the work. At first, the men split wood and hunted. The women prepared clothing and repaired what was worn. Later, he instructed the man clad in fish-skin garments to redistribute tasks according to each person's talents. The children began learning how to tend fire. Ash became fertilizer, dye, and material for brewing and craftwork. Fish-skin clothing, broth of lamb and herbs, wine purchased from the merchant. The arrows that had rained from the castle became fuel. Stone and arrowheads were repurposed. The hide of the Great Bear became warm carpets. And when the first spring flowers broke through the snow, the people of that land had finally survived the winter. One night, Lavina summoned Eimund, now lord of the castle. Shatta carried a lantern and led the way through the forest. After some time, they came upon a spring. Clear water flowed from the rocks. No trees grew there. Only moonlight illuminated the place. And there stood Rotrot, just as she had on the day they met, her arms outstretched. Then she turned. Yet something was different. Her gaze. It was warm. Peaceful. Filled with deep trust. At once Eimund was captivated. By a beauty he could never tire of beholding. Her eyes shone brighter than any jewel. That alone was enough to fill his world. He stared at her so completely that all other sounds seemed to fade away. Then Lavina spoke softly. Now then, you have become the lord of Lady Rotrot. We shall not intrude upon this moment. Lavina and Shadow withdrew, leaving the two alone. Eimund placed his hands upon Rotrot's shoulders and slowly leaned closer. His heart beat so fiercely that it became difficult to breathe. In a hushed voice, he whispered, "Rotrot." She answered in a breath, "Let us fulfill our promise." "Lord Eimund." "My lord." The words were sweet beyond measure. She had promised him. When he conquered the castle of dreams, when he became a true hero, then she would grant him the thing he desired most. And what Eimund desired, then as now, was her alone. Rotrot's cool hand cupped his cheek, brushed against his ear. Their lips drew nearer. A gentle fragrance surrounded them. Unable to resist, Eimund pulled her into his arms. But in the next instant, he stopped and released her. "No. I am not yet a true hero. And you are not something that belongs to me." The wind stirred the leaves. The silence that followed seemed as long as eternity. At last, Rotrot's hand fell upon his chest. It was warm. She closed her eyes, smiled, then parted her trembling lips. "Now all is fulfilled. Lord Eimund, my king, I believed that you would set me free." At that moment, her veil was lifted by the wind. Eimund reached out instinctively, but the veil slipped away, as though it possessed a will of its own, and vanished into the night sky. Rotrot leaned gently against him. Then she said, "This is as it should be. My king, I have chosen you. Whatever may come hereafter, no doubt shall ever hinder you again." Eimund frowned. "Lady Rotrot, what do you mean?" Then, distant thunder rolled across the heavens, and a man's voice rang out. "Ah! At last I have found you. Found you, my queen. Your long life on the run ends tonight. Since childhood, it was decreed that you would become my wife." The voice overflowed with joy. Yet madness lurked within it. Rotrot trembled, as though afraid. She drew close to Eimund. Then, their eyes met, and she kissed him of her own will, before stepping away. At once Eimund followed after her. "Where are you going?" He reached out. But Rotrot's body slipped through his fingers, like a veil carried by the wind. And then, a pale hand, stretching toward her as though in welcome, claimed her and carried her away.